How does baking powder change the texture and flavor of meat when used in cooking?
In this video, we'll be exploring how baking powder affects the texture and flavor of meat when used in cooking. We'll discuss the science behind its effects and provide some tips for using baking powder to enhance your culinary creations.
What is baking powder?
Baking powder is a leavening agent that is commonly used in baking to help dough and batters rise. It consists of a combination of alkaline and acidic components, typically sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, and an acid such as cream of tartar.
How does baking powder affect the texture of meat?
Baking powder can have a profound impact on the texture of meat when used in the right way. When baking powder is applied to the surface of the meat, it raises the pH of the meat surface. This results in a number of benefits. 1. Protein breakdown. The higher pH level leads to the breakdown of proteins, which in turn helps to tenderize the meat. This can be especially useful when cooking tougher cuts. 2. Crispier skin. Baking powder can help create a crispy, golden crust on the surface of the meat when it is cooked at high temperatures, such as when roasting or frying. The alkaline environment promotes the Maillard reaction, which is responsible for browning and creating complex flavors.
How does baking powder affect the flavor of meat?
While the primary effect of baking powder is on the texture of the meat, it can also have a subtle influence on the flavor. By promoting the Maillard reaction, it can enhance the savory flavors of the meat. However, using too much baking powder can result in a slightly bitter or metallic taste, so it's important to use it sparingly.
How do you use baking powder in cooking meat?
1. Pat the meat dry. Remove any excess moisture from the surface of the meat with a paper towel. 2. Apply a thin layer of baking powder. Sprinkle a small amount of baking powder evenly over the surface of the meat. Aim for about 1 teaspoon of baking powder per pound of meat. 3. Allow the meat to rest. Let the meat sit for at least 15 minutes, or up to 1 hour, before cooking. This will give the baking powder time to tenderize the meat and improve its texture. 4. Cook the meat. Proceed with your preferred cooking method, such as roasting or frying. The baking powder should help create a crispier crust and a more tender interior. In summary, baking powder can be a useful tool for improving the texture and flavor of meat when used appropriately. By following the steps outlined in this video, you can create tender, flavorful, and crispy meat dishes that will impress your family and friends.